Tired of winning the tailgate, but losing the games? We can't help that. But we can tell you what the hell is up with each team and what's going on across sunny San Marcos. Texas State fans, get on your feet. You're listening to Squarin' Around with Jacob Rodriguez and Andrew Zimmel.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to Squarin' Around. My name's Jacob. That's Andy. We got a mailbag for you. So this will be a tighter episode, but it's because partially a part of the reason we're doing this is because we made a big announcement this week. We're on the Dave Campbell's Republic of Football Podcasting Network. So we're super stoked to just be a part of anything that they do. So of course, I set that up for myself. I definitely DM'd Ish. This was not like an approach thing. I definitely was like, hey, if you need a Texas State thing, we can deliver content. So,
yeah. And I mean, like, I'm super stoked. Dave Campbell's has been the premier football magazine in the state of Texas. It's been the premier high school football magazine in the country. Everywhere I go, I tell people I'm from Texas. Everywhere I go, people tell me how great Dave Campbell's is. It does not matter in North Dakota, Minnesota, Wyoming, Montana, it's everywhere. It is Dave Campbell's Football Magazine. They are international, worldwide, and it's so cool to be part of that like historic brand.
Oh, don't you know Dave Campbell just came out?
You know, it's funny because it's like there's people who try to replicate. It can be replicated, it can never be replaced, right? Like it's one of those things that like it does not matter what anybody else does, they never will get to that level. Because Dave Campbell's
it's kind of the heartbeat of the state, to be honest. Like it wouldn't survive in Illinois. Like it has to be a Texas thing.
It's got to be a Texas. And this is the thing that people tell me, man. They go like, oh, well, so case in point, like I had to argue about hockey versus football in Texas, hockey in Minnesota, football in Texas. Now, hockey in Minnesota is huge. People are telling me it's the same thing. I'm like, it's really not. And Dave Campbell's Football Magazine is part of the reason that like it just isn't. There's nothing like it anywhere else.
And they're growing. And this is part of that. College football experience, basically.
Mm-hmm. Which is cool because, you know, this college football in the state of Texas, I think, is second to none, especially with the amount of teams that are in the state and stuff. So it's like this is, I thought, like a very good move for them. And I'm not just saying that because we're part of the move.
But also, great move.
Yeah, great move. Great move.
It's cool because the way that like college media, we've had friends that have fallen in and out of media too, and it's like the way that media kind of is shrinking is like Dave Campbell's is expanding right now. So that's really cool to see sports journalism in a big way post COVID, post everything else that we were dealing with. So really cool to be excited about that.
And it just goes to show how big of a footprint they have. Now, and I think this is fair to say, Jacob, for fans of Squaring Around, the new podcast, probably not groundbreaking. Kind of recapping Kenny. If you've been around for the entire time, you probably have heard some of the takes before. But we did add a little fun stuff in there too. We talked a little bit of recent things that are happening. So I mean, I think is it a good listen, would you say, for people who listen to us every week to come back to listen to? Okay.
It's worth a watch, yeah, for sure. No, it's because it's like, well, it's kind of like us under a different guise. You know, I don't want to say we act different on that podcast. But like when we do one of those versus like one for ourselves, it's like going to your friend's house versus like how you act at home, you know? Like,
yeah, that makes sense.
And not like we're all prim and proper on that one either. We definitely let it fly. I'm just saying we have to kind of introduce people to Texas State because we can't just go in, start talking about where this is. Jake's bad with all that.
Unfettered
we have to have
access.
A proper introduction to the audience.
Yeah.
So that's basically what that is me and Zimmel introducing ourselves. And then introducing the most important person on the football team right now, DJ Kinney. And then we're going to kind of go down the line, itemizing that all the way until the spring game, basically, because that's when it'll kind of, this actually turned out to a great like area for us to do it in, because as the spring stuff is coming in, here we go, boom.
It's like an Oklahoma drill.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And at the same time, so we're doing those like once every other week. So we'll do one for Ish and the boys. And then we'll do one for us. And then one for Ish and the boys, then one for us. at the same time, maybe we'll be doing Square Talks or some other stuff in the background. Who knows if I get bored?
And we're doing a mailbag today.
Yeah.
So I'm excited for that. This is a shorter episode, but it'll be a good one.
Yeah. So the first question I want to bring you, Zimmy, is from our boy, Tasty Meat 8675. This is a dude on YouTube who I thought this was a fake comment initially, but then he brings in some heat. He says, "This might be a hot take, but if Johnson doesn't get us to the national tournament next year, I think they should get rid of him. I'm kind of tired of these good seasons that always come up short at the end. If you can't get us into the national tournament after this many seasons, then when will you?" Tasty Meat, thanks for your question, buddy.
Welcome to the resistance. Texas State President Andrew Zimmel has been on this corner for years now with the good, not great regular season and then a bad tournament. Now, I will say, we are not getting rid of TJ. I like the energy. I like where we're at here. We need to take that energy and put it towards a hobby, because I don't think that we are going to get rid of Terrence Johnson. As much as I am a hater, and Jacob will be the first person to admit that some people even question my loyalty to Texas State for the amount of shit I give them.
Player haters ball, for sure. We're getting into it. Player haters ball.
Yes, for sure. I just don't think that that's the right move. I think that he's a really good coach. And the other thing is, it's like, who do you replace him with? The players like him. The administration likes him. Texas State, not really the biggest spender when it comes to coaches' contracts. So who do you replace him with? He's been a really good coach. It's a disappointment in the tournament. Now, run this back one more time, and we might be having a different conversation in 2024. But I think right now, I don't think that this is that's a fair. I don't think that's fair.
$415,000 until 2027 is your answer for that, which is just over half of what GJ is set to get this year. Is it the most mid-major program?
Pocket watching.
Yeah,
we're pocket watching.
Well, I got all of these on demand, so it's just like, oh, that's an easy factoid I can bring in just to sound smart on something. But he's a two-time coach of the year. You know, this is his third season with the team as the head coach. I think you put down the pitchfork and maybe put it back in the hay. Bring it back next year, though, because we may need it. Not saying you got to run him out of town either, though, but it's like he kind of inherited some of this team. Kind of like GJ at UIW. He had a really good team from that previous era. He kind of got an awkward handoff, too, from Danny Casper.
Yes.
That's a separate story. I'm sorry. But I got distracted in my own mind. But yeah, he kind of is doing a lot in a little bit of time, too. And so it'll be really interesting to see like kind of what like a true like team with only guys that he's ever recruited basically looks like under his belt with this new NIL stuff too. It's kind of like everybody's navigating this. Basketball is probably the one that's affected by it the most. At the mid-major level, we have Caleb Asbury going off at OSU now. So
football is going to be affected the most. Like, come on.
Okay, yeah. But I'm talking about like in terms of impact for the program itself immediately. Like, do we have a guy that's transferring in here with a Volkswagen deal? No.
All right, that's fair. Oh, well.
Next comment. This is on our email. I actually added like a new button on our like link tree. This is from our boy Goots for Heisman. And for any of these, you know, you can just go under our link tree. I'll put it up right here, and it's all this stuff. Soon to be actually a Dave Campbell's button. I haven't done it yet. But he asks, if you two had to live on a boat together in the Gulf of Mexico, how long would it take until you wanted to strangle each other? Also, is baseball #back after beating TCU, or are there still underlying issues that will plague this team to come Sunbelt play? First time, king time. We'll hang up and listen.
No, love it.
I think that's a voice to text thing.
Love it.
Thanks,
First time writer, long time listener. I will answer the boat question first. I think that Jacob and I could probably go, I'm going to say like a solid 3 months. I think we can do a solid 3 months on a boat without being like, what the hell are we doing? I think that if it's like we're trapped on this boat, right, it would be tough. Jacob's really good at fishing. I'm really good at storytelling. So I think that we'd be set when it comes to just entertainment and food. It's the amount of just like how big is the boat too. Like if it's like a paddle boat, like, okay, that's one thing. I'm going 3 months at the very like least. I think we could go pretty long, Jacob.
Yeah, I love fishing. So that's immediately where mine went. I was like, oh wow, I have so much time to fish. And Zimmel's just talking my ear off. I don't even really need to pay attention. Just can go,
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. I can learn how to fish. It'd be great. I honestly see that as a big win. I think 3 months though, the skin starts getting like peely,
I think if
dehydration
this is like
sets
a
in.
stranded situation, it's like we're just in denial the whole time. And I start planning episodes in the future. I'm like, this is what we're gonna do when we get back home.
Probably,
Zimmel,
probably. It's like it's been 3 months. Oh man, we missed the spring game. What are we gonna do?
No, I wonder how they looked. Shit.
Yeah.
Maybe that's how we get found. It's like, wow, Squaring Around hasn't done a podcast in a while.
And they went on that deep sea fishing trip and just got stranded on the Gulf. I think somebody would find us too. Okay, baseball question. Baseball never left. Baseball continues to be back. The TCU win is absolutely humongous. I'm so happy that they took down the Horned Frogs. Problems for the Sun Belt, I don't know yet, man. Like, we need to play some Sun Belt games. Once we get like a couple series under our belt, then I can be like, okay, this is a problem, that's a problem. But right now, I'm living high, man. I'm happy with where we're at.
Some people on the internet were mad that we weren't ranked after this week. We beat technically a ranked opponent 3 times in 1 week last week. TCU, then we took the win from Southern Miss last weekend, beat them in game 1 and then game 3.
Yeah, I'm not willing to go there yet.
Around? It could have been game 2, whatever.
I'm not willing to go there yet. I think Texas State needs to amass a
There's
little bit more
good teams in baseball too.
There's a lot of good teams in baseball, so I'm not really all that upset that we're not ranked. Now, if they did like a top 25 ranking, like for Power 5 schools, and then did a 25 ranking for mid majors, Texas State would probably be like 6 or 7 on like the mid majors. So that means we're like 30, probably 34
you know who
right
is
now.
Ranked right now, actually at 25. Grand Canyon University, who we laid
Grand Canyon is really good though.
Against. Exactly, yeah. And we got our asses kicked. So that's kind of like our gauge still is,
Yeah, so I'd say we're probably like what 34, 35 right now in the national ranking. So I'm fine with it.
Yeah. I thought there was a chance we could be ranked, but like I don't know. There's a lot of good baseball teams right now. I mean, we haven't even played shit, really,
I'm not all that concerned. I do think the win against TCU is really big though. And I think that TCU came out of that game being like, we got some things we need to work on for Big 12 play.
What really it was really the stadium that they were playing in, right? They're at Bobcat Ballpark, and the Branton Ty Harrington were just talking about this the entire game, but how like the ball always comes back into play because of the way the wind is set up, and the train whistles at the right time, and all these things that are special to the Bobcat Ballpark just did not go the Horned Frogs' way. There was a lot of fouls that could have been caught, and just didn't happen.
And I think that when you take these teams, you put them on a neutral site, maybe that changes things. But I'll be shocked when Ty Harrington says something negative about Texas State baseball. That is going to be, every broadcast you listen to is going to be the most like Texas State good, other team bad. Period. No question.
Dude, Ty's great.
He's great. I'm just saying, as a color guy, it's like I would like to know a little bit more about the other team, but it's fine.
As a guy of color. Do you
Next
like
question.
Okay, this next series of questions is coming from the bailiff discourse that we were on. Oh, actually, first, Zimmel, I want to go back to that. Ooh, I had your tweet up, actually. Where is it? It's the famous alumni. There it is. Zimmel had a tweet. Texas Football Life basically had a tweet that Zimmel copied and pasted and made it his own. But realistically, he's saying that there's a more famous alumni. The graphic has a bunch of these guys, Baylor, Willie Nelson, U of H, Lizzo? Really? I didn't know that one. Steve Austin, North Texas. It goes on and on and on. Matthew McConaughey, UT. A&M got Dude Perfect. That's kind of lame. There's a lot of people who went to A&M. And we got LBJ. Zimmel says, realistically, there is a more famous alumni that better fits the majority of the other people on this list. At Squarin Pod. Discuss.
I said George Strait. I looked at it. I said, because they have Lizzo on there, Willie Nelson on there, Matthew McConaughey on there, they're clearly leaning towards pop culture figures. Like, because
really selling U of H or A&M short, huh? Dude Perfect.
Nobody's going to complain about that. But that's kind of my point, is that like there's a lot of very famous politicians that went to UT. There's a lot of famous politicians that went to A&M. So to say like, oh, an LBJ, almost like I almost feel like it downplays LBJ because it's like LBJ technically, like if you all things being equal, should be on a different level than Matthew McConaughey. But if we're going to put them all on the same level here,
have graduated from a Texas school. That's Texas State's claim to fame.
I know, but like I think George Strait should be the name on that list.
Oh, look, Kourtney Kardashian is misspelled. It's Kourtney Kardashian. Texas Football Life. Hire your boy.
Copy editor Jacob Rodriguez.
Copy editor.
Yeah, I just think it should have been George Strait.
Kardashian. There's also like Texas State could have gone all day on this. Like Randy Rogers. They had a big graphic that had a bunch of these the other day. And you're like, hey, you also mentioned a woman by the name of Alexis
Texas went to Texas State too.
No.
Which I would say she has more cultural impact than LBJ as well.
Alexis Texas, friend of the podcast. This next one, I was saying before, is from our Dan Rather went. By the way, Dan Rather went to Sam Houston. If you didn't know that, I did not know that.
I knew that.
If you didn't know, David Bailiff, Texas State head coach,
back.
Hall of Honor. Dave Bailiff is back at Texas State. Super cool for the program. Super cool for GJ Kinney. Gets a little bit of a mentorship there. Gets maybe some support. I don't know. Maybe just like what Andrew did at the Star with me. Just mental support.
Mental support. Yeah, I was the push-up bra of Jacob's mind. I think it's great that he's back. I think it's really cool. I think we talk a little bit about on the Dave Campbell podcast about the Republic of Football about too many cooks in the kitchen ? I don't think that that's the case. I think that with Kenny, he is defining roles. I don't think anybody's going to be confused about who's in charge here. It's kind of cool to have an older coach with you. We saw Spavital do the same thing. We see a lot of young coaches do this. Famously, Sean McVay had Wade Phillips as his defensive coordinator, and he was like 33, and Wade Phillips was like 103. So it was like, all right, we have an older coach in the locker room. If there's ever a question about how things are supposed to run, if there's ever a question about like decision making, it's just one more ear you can kind of turn to without like, in building, you know what I mean? So it's a lot easier to go down to somebody's office and knock on the door and ask a question versus picking up a phone and calling them.
So a lot of people were like, yes. A lot of people were like, whoa. A lot of people were like, take back Texas,
Sure.
Did you know some other alumni? I going through our thread too on the other one. This is what people were saying. It says attendee, so the Heartbreak Kid Shawn Michaels is up there. By the way, all of these people, I think, are like just attendee. Like Travis Scott just went to UTSA for like a semester. Powers Booth, influential actor, once upon a time. Also kind of like a hitman, basically, for LBJ at Texas State. LBJ would send him to San Marcos to get things done that he needed done on campus, and Powers Booth said yes all the time when he wasn't acting. Chelsea Ross, G.W. Bailey. There are a lot of people I don't know on here. I'm glad at least they went with LBJ. Question mark?
I cannot believe. Yeah, George Strait should have been the obvious answer there.
Randy Rogers erasure. I agree with that. GJ is my homeboy. At Tall Texan 89. Yeah, kind of a slow week for us.
Yeah, well, it's
that's
good.
What mailbags are for, though. It's like consistent. It's like, hey, we got this thing going on. What do you think?
Throw the mailbag out there, and we'll do these. I think we do these like once a month.
I think our last one was probably about a month ago.
Yeah, I like the mailbag.
I also have like a dedicated spot, so if you wanted to just go straight to our email, boom, it's there in our link tree.
Yep. All right. Well, this was good, Jacob. Wish me luck. I listened to a lot of George Strait yesterday. A lot on my 17-hour drive. I did about 14 hours yesterday.
Dang.
14 of my 17. Yeah, I'm in Texas. It's the first time we're doing this podcast in the same state since God knows when, December. So yeah, I mean, this is like the closest we've been, and yet so far away.
Hopelessly devoted to you. Squaring around, mailbag edition. This doesn't even count as an episode number.
Thanks for listening. New episodes out every Thursday. Follow the boys on Twitter. Eat 'em up. Eat 'em up.